take a look at a category of widely used events, and these are called the keyboard events. These keyboard events fire when the user presses and releases keys on their keyboard. In particular, we'll look at some of the properties on the keyboard event object. And these are very handy when working with keyboard events because they give us information about exactly which key or keys got pressed. Now, two common elements to use keyboard events on are the window or document objects, and in various input fields as well. But in this video, we'll focus on listening to keyboard events on the window or document objects. We'll be looking at input fields in greater detail later on. So why might we want to listen to keyboard events anyway? Well, a common use case for listening to keyboard events on the document or window, for example, might be when we want to respond to the arrow keys on the keyboard, like when we're creating a game, to create some navigation keys. Let's go ahead and try setting up some of these keyboard events. The two main event types that we're going to look at here are going to be the keydown and keyup events. Now, you might have also heard of the keypress event, but this one has actually been deprecated. So we're not really going to go deep into that one, but we will mention the differences between it and keydown in a bit. So what we're going to do inside of our script tags, we're going to get the window object, and we're going to add an event listener to it. And the event type that we're going to listen to first is called keydown. And this is going to fire whenever we press a key on the keyboard. And then for the callback function, or the event handler, we'll pass in our event object as E. And then we're going to log out to the console the event object. So let's save and let's go to the browser. And now since we're listening to the window object, I can just go ahead and press any key on my keyboard to fire this event. So I just press the A key, and actually if you look here at this key property, you can see the letter A, and I can type some more letters, G, H, and notice also if I press like a modifier key, for example the shift key, well the event will fire as well. Or a different modifier key, like let's say the control key. So I'm pointing this out because in a moment we're going to see how this differs from that deprecated keypress event that I told you about. So basically the keydown event is going to fire no matter which key we press on the keyboard. By the way, this video is part of a larger course called DOM Events in JavaScript. And if you're interested in JavaScript events and the DOM, and you want to create a really strong foundation of JavaScript skills, go ahead and check out the course further at the link below. And one more thing that I want to point out about the keydown event is that if we hold it down continually, like for example, I'm going to hold down the A key and I'm not going to let go. And you can see that this keydown event just continually fires. So there's actually a property on the event object that we can use in conjunction with this if we want to detect that the user is holding the key down. This property that lives on the keyboard event object is called repeat. And it starts off with the value of false. But once it's detected that the key is still held down, its value changes to true. And so you can imagine using that in an application if we want to do something based on whether or not the user is continuing to press the key. So let's go see it in the browser. Now I'm going to press A and I'm just going to continue to hold on it. And notice that it'll first log out false to the console, but then it'll change to true. See? False and then true, just repeatedly. And then we have the counterpart to key down, and that of course is key up. So we can look at that one next. So our event type is going to be key up. And we're just going to log out E, or the event object. And this one, of course, will fire once the user releases the key. So it's very much the same as when we looked at mouse down and mouse up. Key down and key up are two phases to the user pressing a key, basically. It's the press and the release. But let's take a quick look at it. So now I'm going to press the key A, and I'm still pressing. And now I'm going to release. And there we go, the event fires here. That's the key up event. Now, before we move on to look at the keyboard event object itself a little further, let's first visit that keypress event I mentioned earlier, the one that I said was deprecated. So we'll try keypress. And again, we're just going to log out the event object. So let's go to the browser. And I'm going to press a couple keys. So I'm going to press the A key. And we can see it's logged out. Let's press the number 2. That's logged out. Let's press a punctuation key. We'll do the exclamation mark. Cool, that one gets logged out. But now how about if we press a non-character key, like a modifier key, for example? Like, let's try pressing the Shift key. Well, I just pressed, but we don't see any keyboard event. How about the Control key? Well, that one doesn't fire either. So what I just showed you is the big difference between keypress and keydown. Both of these events fire when the key is first pressed, but keypress is only going to fire on character keys, so letters, numbers, and punctuation, whereas keydown is going to fire no matter which key you press. So there really isn't a need to use keypress, we can just use keydown.